What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is March 28th of 2018. Well, folks, it's time for a daily update here on the DataDash channel, and today we have a lot of exciting things to dive into on the update. First and foremost, as always, though, we'll be spending some time looking at market valuations as well as doing some technical analysis on the market leaders. But outside of this as well, guys, we have a really big headline to dive into, and that is the news that the CBOE, or Chicago Board Options Exchange, known for launching Bitcoin futures back in 2017, has come out with a written letter to the SEC urging support for more Bitcoin ETPs, or exchange-traded products, meaning a Bitcoin ETF. So again, we've been talking about this on the channel, hoping to see more support in the financial sector, and luckily we've seen it yesterday with the Chicago Board Options Exchange. So it's really good to see more support about Bitcoin-related financial products in the financial sector. We'll talk a little bit about that later on in the video. And along with that as well, I have a really funny video to wrap up the daily update with that I'll share with you guys with a link down in the description. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the update. One last thing I do want to share with you guys, though, is that I am considering doing a DataDash newsletter. And for those of you who are interested, please fill out the form that I have down in the description below. I've got a link there where you guys can answer some questions on what you'd like to see in it. If you're not interested, guys, sorry to bug you about it. It's just something that I wanted to put out there for those of you who like more written content or more summarization of content, as well as possibly a way to where you can support the DataDash channel. So let's go ahead and dive into the market analysis, guys. First and foremost, we can generally see that markets over the past 24 hours have been relatively flat. We have some players to the upside here, generally down the list, as well as some players to the downside. And it seems like, again, we're still seeing a concentration to the upside in specific players in the market. So generally speaking, the majority of the market right now, even though it's remaining flat in valuation, is still relatively on the bearish side right now. It's still kind of fear-driven right now, or really nothing's going on in this space. There's not enough optimism funneling in at the moment. As we take a look here over the yearly on market cap, we can start to really see a clear picture that things are starting to move sideways. We're not going more towards lows. We're starting to curve down here and find a base level of support around $280 to $300 billion in valuation. And that has remained consistent since all the way back here in February, as well as to here in March. And now where we're starting to hold above $300 billion in valuation. So again, same case here with altcoins as well, excluding Bitcoin. We're seeing the same exact trend and a very nice discount from the peak here at around $550 billion all the way down to $166 billion. Much more reasonable levels for cryptocurrencies. The interesting thing I want to talk about here as well is something we predicted about a week ago. In our daily updates, we were talking extensively about how not only Bitcoin dominance would start to slow down a little bit, but we'd also start to see other coins continue to gain. Now, this is an interesting phenomenon, though, because Bitcoin hasn't really dropped that much in market dominance. It hasn't reached towards its all-time high, or not, its relative highs here at 45%, but at the same time, you would expect to have a much larger drop in Bitcoin dominance to see other coins rebounding from 17 to 20%. Well, where's the valuation coming from, or at least where is the dominance gaining in other coins outside of this market? Well, it's not Bitcoin that it's coming from. It's coming from other market leaders. So things like Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ripple, Dash, Neem, Monero, all of these players that were holding pretty steady valuations in the market, even as Neo as well. I almost missed that on the list there. But because of this, we've had some valuation start to flow out of some of the other larger players in the top 5 or top 10 and go into other coins, start to funnel into these other more kind of high-risk projects in the cryptocurrency space. And this is something we talked about. The Bitcoin dominance might remain around 45 to 50%, but we also might see a liquidation of value coming out of the other market leaders that are quite overvalued at this point, as we'll take a look at later. So going on into the technical analysis, guys, let's go ahead and talk about it. Again, my whole kind of trend here for Bitcoin is that I don't honestly think, and I know I'm probably one of the only people here that's saying this, is that I really don't believe we're going to have the death cross here. I know it's been sitting real close and everyone's just losing their minds, and even if it does come through, everyone's like thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be the end for Bitcoin. Guys, it's just a simple technical indicator here. Again, I can't emphasize it enough. Not to mention as well, I really think as much as it's getting close that we're not going to see it, because if we get a stellar rebound over the next day or two, and that gets factored into the 50-day, you're going to start to see the 50-day curve up faster than the 200-day is, which is relatively slow and flattening out right now in regards to its momentum. So even though they're gaining close speed to one another, at the same time, it's not happening fast, and it doesn't seem like there's any urgency to be worried about it. Along with that as well, I genuinely think, guys, that the lowest we'll possibly go here is to $7,200 at the base support line. And that might be the final flush for Bitcoin as we build more stable support to the sides, sideways price action. So again, not worried about the death cross, not trying to be biased here. If it does go through, the thing I'm more worried about on the bearish case scenario is that if we were to come down to 7,200 and break below the wedge here, that might mean that we have to wait to 6,000 to build support at that original support level back in February. Again, not trying to play a perma bull case here, guys, but we are on the lower end. We are definitely on the lower end of the cycle, guys. And we can start to see that the volume is showing that. There's no serious sell side action right now like it was back here during February. It's simply just sideways price action right now. So because of that, I'm pretty confident on the market, guys. If I do get an opportunity to get Bitcoin around 7,200, definitely might consider doing a trade on it. But right now, not doing anything crazy at the moment. So let's go ahead here, take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum continuing to drop. This is, again, one of the perfect examples of market leaders that are losing valuation and are starting to decline. And this looks like it's repeating history, guys. I don't know if we'll go all the way down here to 2,500,000 Satoshis, but I will say that this is definitely not looking like something I'm urgent to get into, even though it's providing a pretty decent discount from its highs. Again, got to be patient on this one, guys. We wait for support to come in. We don't try to catch falling knives. We look for things that are either dramatically oversold, and in that case, maybe a falling knife like it had back in December, or we look for things that have built more support. We don't want to find something that's on a nice declining trend to the downside like this that we've seen in history can go much, much further. All right, so let's go ahead here, take a look at XRP BTC. Again, same case scenario. It's holding above the 200-day, waiting for a breakdown below it to repeat history here. Again, we'll have to see if it does that, but I have a good feeling it will from past experience in the market. Along with this, well, Bitcoin Cash looking like it's not only getting resistance at 12 million Satoshis, but is probably going to roll down below this and really pick up some sell side action once it closes well below. I would say around 11 million Satoshis, I would say. I think that's generally where it's found support in the past. So if we get a close below there, I'm thinking we're going to see some more downside action. Along with that as well, Litecoin starting to finally take in the bearish case. Again, what I've been talking about for quite some time, guys, with Litecoin. If we saw no support on the moving average of the 50-day and a move higher above this red line and a serious catalyst to push it higher, we were going to see this revisit the 200-day. So I think we're well on our way to doing that. We've broken through the 50, we've broken through the 100, and now we're well on our way to that indicator. So going on here to look at a few more market players, Neo holding below the 200-day. I'm actually going to get it here on Bittrex so we can get the proper amount of price action. We can see here Neo toying with the 200-day. We might be moving a little bit lower here. We'll see if it can garner some support. Again, we've seen in the past that it can break below there, and we might be waiting for a better discount point. If we take a look at Neo USD, I think we could possibly see a support around $40 per Neo, and that's where we've seen a lot of previous resistance in the past for Neo. So that might be a new support point. Previous resistance tends to become new support. I haven't said that in a while on the channel. Let's go ahead here, take a look at a few more players. ADA BTC, Cardano, still coming down. It's well below. It's down below 2,000 Satoshis now. I don't think we're going to be revisiting 1,300 Satoshis. I got to be fair with you guys. The negativity and the bearishness in this market just isn't strong enough, and I don't see any sell side volume to really cause that. But I will say that we possibly could see a retest of the lows over here, and that would be really awesome if there was an opportunity to get down there as well. In regards to Cardano, I would consider doing an addition to that if it did touch those levels. Icon BTC. Seeing as we've had a correction here over the BitThumb news, as we had a big run-up due to BitThumb listing Icon. The volume is nice. It's the second largest exchange trading Icon right now. So I think what we're possibly going to see, though, however, is seeing as we're getting a little bit of rejection at the 50-day, we're probably going to come down to about 3,000 Satoshis after this run-up and find a base level of support. As much as I love Icon, I think we could possibly definitely use a little bit of correction after all the hype and news and FOMO in regards to getting listed on BitThumb. Last but not least, I'm going to take a look at EOS, and actually I'll take a look at one more after this. EOS getting rejected. The 50-day right now, as much as it's had some really positive price action, it's been very, very iffy in regards to its chart. We've had a few different breakout points on the hourly where we had a wedge come in price, which led to a breakout, as well as an ascending wedge here, which is a bearish signal, and then a rollover afterwards. And right now, I just don't even know what the price action's doing. It's just all over the place. So no real consensus on EOS. I wouldn't touch it at these levels. I'd wait for it to come down and find a nice level of support rather than having this crazy charting action that it's having. Last but not least, I'll take a look at two more. Knowles BTC here. Knowles holding well on that 100-day, above the 50-day as well. Again, continuing that process of curving up. I really want to see this close above 48,000 Satoshis. That's what I'm looking for, seeing as that was previous resistance in the past as well as previous support. And last but not least, I want to take a look at POA BTC because many people have been asking me about this. We definitely made a solid call so far for our Coins of the Month call back a few days ago for the month of April. And as we take a look here on the 4-hour, we can see that this is going through the common ICO reversal. We're seeing this come up and test towards the highs of the actual ICO launch on the exchange. So hopefully we can get this above there, and if we do, guys, we could see this have a really major rally. I'm still long-term on it, haven't sold my position, still believing in POA. This is looking like a serious winner in this market. The momentum and the volume is awesome right now. So anyways, that's it for the TA we're going to do today, guys. I want to go ahead and dive into the headline here. So there's not too much crazy details here. CNBC did cover it, so you can obviously tell this is official news in regards to SEC, even though some of the mainstream media can be fake news. But the whole thing here in regards to the CBOE is they basically have written a open letter to the SEC talking about how we should support more in regards to Bitcoin ETPs or exchange traded products, most likely meaning a Bitcoin ETF. Now there's obviously different other financial instruments you can do with Bitcoin. The biggest predominant one though in regards to ETPs is an ETF. And you can see from the quotations here, there's really some positive tones about urgency in regards to, look, we've got the Bitcoin futures. Let's go ahead and keep pushing out the ETF and start experimenting. And over time, we can regulate these markets and get better at controlling them. So look at this here. The commission should not stand in the way of such ETPs coming to market, given CBOE's argument for addressing the SEC's concerns, the derivatives exchange said Friday in the letter to the SEC published on Monday. We can get the full quotation down here that really kind of settles the tone here. CBOE encourages the commission to approach cryptocurrency ETPs, exchange-traded products, holistically and from the same perspective that it has historically approached commodity-related ETPs. So, for example, ETFs for gold like GLD, or for silver, SLV, or other different commodities that people like to trade on markets. The derivative. So this was basically sent out the other day on Monday. And we're seeing, again, as we go through here, that they're not rushing through without keeping concerns in mind. If any of you watched the interview that I recently shared on my last daily update about one of the ladies who had worked on introducing the SPY for the S&P 500, and a very famed ETF for people who like to invest in the S&P 500, as well as GLD for gold, she had talked about how it's going to take 5 years for the SEC to approve this, because the reason being is that there's a lot of worries in the market, and a lot of them were listed down here because the SEC has been pretty public about it. And the CBOE responded quite swiftly and with a cause for concern. While CBOE shares many of the concerns raised in the staff letter by the SEC, we believe that the vast majority of these concerns can be addressed within the existing framework for commodity-related funds related to valuation, liquidity, custody, arbitrage, and manipulation. So they're keeping the concern in mind that the SEC has, or the concerns that are available in this market, as it is a very new one and very new to the traditional financial space. But at the same time, they do believe that things such as liquidity, having capital in these markets to where they can flow effectively, having valuations stabilize, I think, in this market without being too volatile, without triggering the circuit breakers and stopping and halting trading as it was when they launched the futures originally. And then things like arbitrage and manipulation as well. I think they see that there are some issues in this market and things that need to be addressed, but those things usually come with maturing markets. Valuations become more stable when markets are expanded. The volatility goes away. Liquidity, same case. When more liquidity enters into the market, and I'm sure as hell that I know there's going to be a lot of people in the institutional space of finance wanting to invest in Bitcoin, increasing liquidity. And a good case of this, for example, is gold markets. And this is something the lady in that interview we were talking about earlier discussed, that when GLD was introduced, when the gold ETF was created, the first ever in history, gold's price went up about 4 to 5 times preceding afterwards. So it's the same thing that's going to happen with Bitcoin, guys. It's a huge step forward for retail investors to get a piece of the action, for institutions to easily invest in it that don't trade futures or different futures contracts for commodities. And because of that, it is going to be a massive, massive step for adoption. So again, if you guys want, I'll go ahead and leave the article here. This is pretty much all it is in regards to CNBC, but they do have some different sources linked below and the highlighted text throughout the article that I recommend you go check into. But last but not least, guys, outside of the positive news, we have a really funny video I found online on Reddit. When I saw it on Reddit, they weren't giving actual credit to the true creators. They had like uploaded it on Reddit or some kind of video thing. So I wanted to give proper credit towards the people who created it here on YouTube, Viva La Dirt League, and they do all kinds of different little skits and stuff. I'm hoping to watch some later if I get the chance. I just usually keep too busy, but they did a really good little video on mining bitcoins. It's a pretty funny play on words and misinterpretation, so I won't spoil it, but I'll go ahead and leave that link down below for those of you who are interested in it. Well, anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are excited about the CBOE news and you think it's going to be a positive thing in regards to pushing a Bitcoin ETF faster, leave a comment down below. I'd like to hear what you guys think on that, as well as your stance on current markets. And again, want to really reinforce it, guys. I won't shill for it too much. If you guys want to provide some feedback for the newsletter, I'd really appreciate it, guys. If you guys want to express your interest for it. Again, if you're not interested, don't worry about it. I won't bother you guys about it too much. But anyways, that's it for the video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay tuned.